today we are going to learn about body temperature and how body temperature is regulated. So these are some of the objectives at the end of the session. The student must be able to know, um, explain correctly the concept of set point for body temperature in human body, describe correctly role of thermoreceptors, and describe correctly the hypothalamus, the role of hypothalamus in temperature regulation. So again, we'll try to know what is body temperature, what is the normal range, how heat balance is done, what are the mechanisms of heat gain, what are the mechanisms of heat loss, variations in the body temperature, and how the body temperature is regulated, what are thermoreceptors, hypothalamus as a thermostat, and thermoregulatory effector mechanism, and abnormalities in the body temperature. So the living organisms are classified into two groups depending on the maintenance or regulation of their body temperature. One is homeothermic animals and poikilothermic animals. Homeothermic animals, these are the animals who the body temperature is maintained at constant levels. So they're also called as warm blood animals. For example, birds and animals. And poikilothermic animals are the animals' body temperature is not constant. Their body temperature varies according to the environmental temperature. These animals, also called as cold-blooded animals, all animals except birds and mammals are poikilothermic animals. The deeper tissue body temperature always remains constant. It does not vary much, whereas the skin temperature, it varies. It ranges from 36 to 37.5 degrees Celsius. Body temperature can be measured by placing the clinical thermometer in different parts of the body, such as mouth, axilla, rectum, and over the skin. So it is when you measure the body temperature placing the clinical thermometer in the mouth, that is oral temperature. It varies between 35.8 degrees Celsius to 37.3 degrees Celsius. So temperature of different body parts are going to be different. Axillary has a 0.5 degrees Celsius lower temperature than when compared to the rectal temperature. So these are the clinical thermometers that we use. So there can be variation in the body temperature. One is age. The infants, children, they have a higher body temperature compared to adults. Then the elderly group, they will have a lower body temperature. Females have higher body temperature than males. There can be diurnal variation. As the day progresses, the body temperature is going to increase. After meals, exercise, the temperature is going to increase. Sleep, the body temperature can decrease. Emotion, it depends on the emotion. It may increase or it may decrease the body temperature. And with a menstrual phase, of course, the body temperature is going to vary in different phases of menstrual cycle. So there can be pathological variations which can cause hypothermia or the hypothermia. So heat gain or heat production in the body. So heat is produced in our body by different mechanism. It is mainly by the metabolic activities, that is burning of the carbohydrate and fats that leads to increase in the body temperature. When the muscular activity will break down the ATP that generates the heat, the hormones like thyroxine and adrenaline, they increase heat production mainly by accelerating the metabolic activities. And obviously radiation of the heat from the environment, shivering mechanism, again nothing but the muscular activity. The brown fat tissue, which is one of the two types of adipose tissues, the other being white adipose tissue, it produces enormous body heat, particularly in infants. Okay. Usually this brown fat is present in the back of the infant's back muscles, around the back muscles, and the burning of this fat will increase the heat. So this is called as non-shivering thermogenesis. How heat is lost from our body? So heat is lost mainly through the conduction, radiation, convection, and evaporation, and panting. So conduction is the transfer of heat from the higher place of heat to the lower place of heat. Okay, so when you touch any cold objective, heat is transferred from a body to the touched object. So radiation is the when body temperature increases, the heat radiates to the lower temperature in the environment. So convection is mainly through the blowing of the air. For example, when you put on the fan, okay, so it decreases the body temperature by convection. And evaporation is mainly by sweating. Okay, so when you sweat, the sweat is going to cool the skin temperature. So this is also called as insensible perspiration. So almost 20% of the heat is lost from this mechanism. Panting usually occurs in dogs. Okay, so whenever body temperature in the dog increases, it exposes its tongue to the environment through the sweat glands in the oral cavity. So it salivates, and that causes loss of heat from its body. So these are the different ways that how we are going to lose heat from our body. Evaporation is by 22%. So by radiation you can get the heat, and also you can lose the heat. By conduction, 15% of heat is lost. And another mechanisms are air currents and conduction to the objects, like 3%. Okay. So these are the different mechanisms by which we are going to lose the heat. So body temperature basically controls, its heat by balancing the heat production and heat loss. So heat loss determined by mainly how rapidly it can be conducted to the skin and how rapidly it can be transferred from skin to the surroundings. Blood flow to the skin from the body core provides heat transfer. So heat conduction in the skin is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system, controlled by vasoconstriction. So sweating and its regulation by the autonomic nervous system. Stimulation of the anterior hypothalamic, that is preoptic area, causes sweating. So mechanism is sweat gland is tubular structure consisting of deep subdermal coiled portion and secretes the sweat. The duct portion that processes outward through the epidermis. So whenever there is increased sympathetic activity, it causes the vasodilatation of the sweat glands, and the sweat is produced, more sweat is produced. So sweat glands are innervated by acetylcholine secreting sympathetic nerve. So acclimatization to the heat, so when you're exposed to the heat for several hours every day, will develop increased tolerance to heat and humid conditions in 1 to 3 weeks. There will be twofold increase in the maximum rate of sweating. There is increased plasma volume, decreased loss of salt in the sweat and urine, almost to none. Last two effects are because of the increased aldosterone secretion. So how thermoregulation is done by the hypothalamus? It is a process by which the body temperature of organism is regulated for effective functioning of the body. So body temperature is controlled by balancing heat production and heat loss, as I told. Okay, so these are the spectrum of the temperature, where less than 30, this is called, so there can be cardiac arrhythmias. the body temperature increases more than 36 degree, so then it is called as febrile situation, extreme physical activity. So there can be brain damage or heat stroke. Okay, so where the thermoregulation is deranged. I mean, as we were discussing, hypothalamus has two centers. Uh, I mean, body temperature is controlled by hypothalamus, and it has two important centers: heat loss center and heat gain center. Heat loss center is situated in the anterior hypothalamus, and heat gain center is situated in the posterior hypothalamus. And whenever body temperature increases, it receives information from the blood, the skin, and the tissues that the temperature is increased. So that will be detected by the thermoreceptors which are there in the anterior hypothalamus. That is nothing but preoptic nucleus. Okay. So when there is increase in the temperature, it is going to stimulate the heat loss center which is present in the anterior hypothalamus. So that inhibits the heat gain center which is present in the posterior hypothalamus. And heat gain center is a center when you stimulate the heat gain center which is present in the posterior hypothalamus, it leads to shivering and increase in the sympathetic stimulation, so that is going to increase the heat. But when there is increase in the body temperature, heat loss center, it is going to inhibit the heat gain center and decreases the shivering and decreases the sympathetic drive, and hence it reduces the body temperature. Okay, so this is about the heat loss center and heat gain center. Heat loss center is present in anterior hypothalamus and heat gain center is present in posterior hypothalamus. So the body temperature is mostly regulated by the negative feedback mechanism. As I told you, whenever there is an increase in the body temperature, it is going to stimulate heat loss center, and heat loss center is going to inhibit the heat gain center. That is how body temperature is brought back to the normal. Okay. So detection of the temperature is mainly occurs by the receptors which are present in the skin and deep body tissues. So heat loss center, it is situated in the preoptic nucleus in the anterior hypothalamus. Neurons in this are heat sensitive, so called as thermoreceptors. So stimulation of this causes vasodilatation and sweating, by which the heat is lost. Removal of or lesion of this nucleus increases the body temperature. Heat gain center, it is situated in the posterior hypothalamic nucleus. Stimulation of this nucleus causes shivering. The removal or lesion of this nucleus leads to fall in the temperature. Okay. So heat production mainly occurs because of the basal metabolism, muscular activity, thyroxine and epinephrine, which increase the metabolism, and heat loss is mainly through radiation, conduction, convection and evaporation. So this table shows the effect of the cold. Okay, so in case of cold, the body tries to, when you're exposed to the cold temperature, the body tries to lose heat and tries to increase the heat production. So decrease in the heat loss is mainly occurs by vasoconstriction in the skin vessels, reduction of the surface area. These are behavioral, curling up, etc. And then putting warmer clothes raise the thermostat setting. And increased heat production mainly occurs because of the increased muscle tone, increased muscle contraction, shivering and increased voluntary activity. So increased secretion of epinephrine, that is minimal in adults, and increase the food appetite. Similarly, when you are exposed to the extreme heat, okay, so the body tries to increase the heat loss and decrease the heat production. So increase in the heat loss occurs by vasodilatation of the skin vessels, sweating, the behavioral response, putting on the cooler cloths, turning on the fan, etc. So the decrease in the heat production occurs because of the decrease in the muscle tone and voluntary activity, decreased secretion of epinephrine, and decreased food appetite. Okay. So some of the applied aspects we will try to uh, discuss. The hypothalamus in the brain responsible for many physiological body function including body temperature. So as we discussed, it receives information or output from the skin, which the impulse is going to end in the hypothalamus, and the blood temperature directly affects the hypothalamus, that is hypothalamic receptors, thermoreceptors, and influence the thermostat. So regulatory center of hypothalamus regulate body temperature during exercise through one, sweating and evaporation will remove the heat away from the body. Second, blood will come closer to the skin so that heat may get closer to the outside and radiate away. Hypothermia. So hypothermia is when the core body temperature is less than 30 degrees Celsius. So if it is 34 to 36 degree, it is called as mild. If it is 30 to 34 degrees Celsius, it is called as moderate. And if the body temperature falls less than 30 degrees Celsius, it is called as severe hypothermia. Some of the causes of hypothermia are exposure to the cold temperature, immersion in the cold water, drug abuse, hypothyroidism, hypopituitarism, and lesions of hypothalamus. So this is how hypothermia can be classified, which is given in a tabular form: mild hypothermia, moderate hypothermia, and severe hypothermia. And what are the systemic effects that are being discussed here? What are their effects on the CNS, CVS, respiratory, renal, hematologic, GI changes, metabolic, endocrine changes, muscular, skeletal changes are being given in this tabular form. So what is the treatment of hypothermia? So you can do passive rewarming, removal from the cold environment, insulation, warm blankets. Active external rewarming can be done by warm water immersion, heating blankets set at 40 degrees Celsius, radiant heat. Active core rewarming at 40 degrees Celsius by inhalation, rewarming heated IV fluids. So inhalation of the warm air and the heated IV fluids can be given. Hyperthermia is when the body temperature increases, so which is also called as fever. So it has its own benefit, fever. Whenever body temperature increases, many organisms grow within a relatively narrow temperature range. When body temperature increases, it is unfavorable for most of the microorganisms. Increasing the temperature inhibits the bacterial growth. Antibody production is increased when body temperature is increased, and it also can slow down growth of some of the tumors. So whenever there is a infection, obviously it is going to activate the macrophages. So these are going to secrete endogenous pyrogens, especially interleukin 6-1. Okay, and those the pyrogens, they are going to alter the thermostat set points in the hypothalamus. Okay, so when you increase the thermostat point from 36 to 38 degree, okay, so the body perceives as it as a cold sensation, and that is how it increases, it stimulates the heat gain center, and heat gain center causes sympathetic stimulation, there can be vasoconstriction which will hold the heat. It causes shivering. Okay, so thus the heat production increases. There will be increase in the heat loss, and it leads to fever. There will be increase in the body temperature. So mainly than the interleukins, the prostaglandins play a very important role in the uh, thermostat setting. Okay, so the prostaglandins are the one which are going to increase the set point from 30 degrees Celsius to 38 degrees Celsius than the interleukins. Signs and symptoms depend on the causes of the fever. Okay, so there can be headache, sweating, shivering, muscle pain, there can be dehydration, loss of appetite, and general weakness. Treatment is immediate removal, cold sponging, and drugs like paracetamol and others. I mean, which are mainly the prostaglandin inhibitors. So hypothermia is when the core body temperature increases more than 38 degrees Celsius. Okay, so if the body temperature increases more than 38 degrees Celsius, so then it can lead to heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat strokes. So heat stroke is nothing but when body temperature increases up to 41 degrees Celsius. Here the mortality occurs in 10 to 20% of the patient with the current treatment. So there can be, I mean, the person may develop coma, he may develop seizures, there can be confusion. Okay, and the classical triad of the heat stroke is hyperpyrexia, CNS dysfunction, and anhidrosis. So treatment is cooling and remove him to the cool environment. That is, to decrease the temperature, remove the person to the cool environment. Okay, so this is all about the regulation of the body temperature.